rise today on tax day, the deadline for Americans to file federal tax returns on their hard-earned income for the 2012 year. Benjamin Franklin famously said, "The only sure things in life are death and taxes." Today, we Americans live up to that first hard truth, the day when the tax man comes. For those of us in Congress, Tax Day serves as an important reminder of just who is funding all of this government spending. It's the American taxpayer. Even as families across America have made tough decisions and tightened their household budgets, the federal government has gone on a spending spree. Government is posting now 4 straight trillion-dollar deficits and growing the national debt, and it's approaching now $17 trillion. In recent years, the average annual deficit has skyrocketed to 8.7% of our gross domestic product. These deficits should be all the evidence we need in order that we get our fiscal house in order. I believe, and Nebraskans believe, that to generate economic growth, we must first address our nation's addiction to spending. We need to fix our broken tax system, and what better time than Tax Day to highlight this need. Tax Day is a day to renew our efforts to simplify the tax system and ease the burden on hardworking Americans. The act of actually filing taxes is never pleasant, but it also allows Americans the chance to assess just how much of their income is going towards subsidizing an ever-growing bureaucracy. Rather than making it easy for citizens to comply with the income tax requirements, the federal government has held on to an arcane, complicated tax system. Many citizens, particularly our small business owners, are forced to hire costly accountants or buy tax software just to sift through the 3,951,104 words of the tax code, which, along with other rules and regulations, fills 73,608 pages of text in order to figure out just how much one owes. Nebraskans shouldn't have to waste their time or pay for expensive financial advisors just to fork over more money to Uncle Sam. Americans collectively spend more than 6 billion hours preparing their tax returns. Imagine what more could be done if Americans could focus that time and those resources on something else. According to the National Federation of Independent Businesses, 90% of small businesses have given up trying to comply with the tax code, and instead, they pay a professional tax preparation service. Through tax reform to make the tax code simpler and fairer, these small businesses could redirect scant resources currently used for tax compliance to focus more on growth and to focus more on creating jobs. I'm encouraged, however, by the recent efforts towards much-needed comprehensive tax reform to simplify our tax code. Just last week, the chairman of the Finance Committee, Senator Max Baucus, wrote an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal, along with House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Dave Camp, highlighting their progress so far in pressing toward bipartisan tax reform. And President Obama has called for revenue-neutral corporate tax reform in his FY 2014 budget. Unfortunately, the president's proposal is contingent on a $1.1 trillion tax increase above and beyond the $1.7 trillion in tax increases that the president has already sought and won. Such a tax hike sends the unmistakable message to every American taxpayer that government knows how to spend your money better than you do. I believe that American families know how best to spend their money, particularly during ongoing times of economic hardship when everyone is called on to make tough decisions and to make those tough choices about their budgets and about spending. Revenue-neutral, pro-growth tax reform should not just be geared toward the corporate side of our tax code. We should pursue revenue-neutral tax reform on the individual side as well, which would benefit American families as well as small businesses, which pay those taxes at the individual level. Small businesses already generate 2 out of every 3 new jobs, and 95% of businesses, employing nearly 70 million Americans, are organized in such a way that earnings are passed through the enterprise and therefore subject to taxation at the individual level. Tax Day provides us with a needed reminder of how broken our tax code is. We can and should use it as the impetus to pursue pro-growth tax reform. My goal for tax reform is simpler: a fair tax code, which ensures that Nebraskans and our neighbors from across the country can keep more of the money that they work hard to earn, by providing for the core duties and responsibilities of our government. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.